what are we planning to read during the month of March? I want to know what's on your TBR because mine, it's looking good. It's looking good. So far, 2025 has been a really good reading year, and we want to keep things going, obviously. One of the books that I'm dying to read is coming out in March, and it is Sunrise of the Reaping, which is the new prequel for the Hunger Games, and I feel like a lot of you are also going to be very excited. I feel like teenage me would be so excited that we're getting more, and this one is going to be about Amish stories, which we've all been very curious about. So this one I believe is coming out on the 18th, so as soon as I get my hands on it, I will be reading it, and I think we're going to do like we did recently and do a reading vlog where I read a new release, but also some ARCs, so some advanced reader copies that I got my hands on, so books that are coming out soon, and I think we're gonna have time for one, maybe two. So here are the options. First off is going to be The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. He writes adult fantasy series in general, and I have read one of his trilogy and I did overall enjoy it, and I've heard that he's just fantastic in general, so I wanted to read more, so we're gonna try this one. It's a thick one, but I'm excited, and of course I'll let you know if it's worth picking up once it's out, and if I have time. I'm trying not to overdo it with the list, but I always get a little excited during my TBR and I put too many books. But can you blame me, because V.E. Schwab is coming out with a new book also this year. I believe it's in July, so that's why it's the just in case. If I have time, I will read it. If not, I'll put it in a future reading vlog before it's out, but I'm dying to read that one because that one is, I think it's vampires and like LGBTQ plus sapphic romance, and it is Bury Your Bones in the Midnight Soil. So yeah, I want to read more by her. I have enjoyed a lot of her work, mainly actually The Invisible Life of Adelaide, which I feel like her writing has improved a lot over the years, and I'm looking forward to her newest book, obviously. So hopefully I'm gonna have time. We're gonna try to make time for it because it's also on the fairly thicker side. So that's gonna be a really packed reading vlog, and I think it's gonna be kind of my last one of the month. We'll see. As I'm filming this, I'm currently filming my Read It or Unhaul It for the month of February. There's obviously going to be another one in March. So I had to pause the book I was currently reading to do that. So of course I want to finish that one because I was really enjoying it. This is An Echo of Things to Come. This is the second book in this adult fantasy trilogy. Very classic fantasy, hero chosen one. There's this wall in the north. The darkness is trying to come in and they have to go and fix the wall. And a lot of political intrigue and mystery are really happening at this point. I'm enjoying the magic system. There's a lot of things that are unanswered. But yeah, I had to pause it and I'm dying. I'm like halfway through it and so far it was good. I was so scared of that one because have you seen the size of this thing? It's like 700 pages. But yes, I would like to finish it in March if I don't have time. I don't think I'm gonna have time to finish it this month because of the other vlog, but that was good. And if I'm still in the mood to read more series, I think I'm gonna take a break and not read the third book. Where is that one? It's right here. I need a break between these two breaks. So I'm also in the middle of this series that I've been really enjoying. This is the third book, so A Reaper at the Gates. This is a YA fantasy series. It's a 4-book series, and I've been reading almost a book a month so far. It would be nice to not wait too long in between the next ones. So that's the third one. It's the exact same size as the first two, which were 450 pages, but both of them, I read them in 3 days. So like, I'm sure I can like sneak it in somewhere. So we're gonna try. Oh, also this one is very classic YA fantasy. So there's 2 love triangles. There's a lot of almost insta love. There's a lot of drama, but like not in a bad way. I feel like in theory, I feel kind of over young adult books, but this series has really changed my mind and I'm emotionally invested, which I feel like that makes all the difference. So yeah. That would be fun. Speaking of fun, I think I'm going to try to read some popular books because once in a while I get sucked into the hype and I need to know, is it more hit and miss than what I usually read? Yes, but like I don't need to give a book 5-star every single time to enjoy myself, right? Sometimes I just need answers, and this vlog is probably going to be messy, but that's okay. The first one is the one that I think I'm going to enjoy the most. It had a horrible sticker. Whoever invented those, jail, straight to jail. Anyway, this is The 7-Year Slip, which is a romance book, which wasn't really my thing, but I've been really slowly discovering authors that do work for me, and this one is super popular. And the reason I wanted to try it is that there's a little bit of sci-fi, which definitely is my thing. I think it's like time traveling. The character works in the publishing industry, the book publishing industry, which I feel like it's really common in contemporary romance, and I'm totally okay with this. I feel like we're all book lovers. And her aunt lets her live in her apartment, and she meets this man there, and he's like 7 years in the past, so 7-year slip. So I'm assuming she's going to fall in love with someone that is living 7 years prior. So did something happen? Is it going to work out? I don't know. I'm dying to know. We'll find out during that vlog. So I'm hoping this one is going to be worth the hype. It's like 300 pages. So I feel like these books can be really quick and good in between. Really thick fantasy, so a little bit of fun. The two other ones, I know that there's a high chance I'm not gonna love them, but again, I have them. I get sucked into the hype too. I want to know, are they worth it? And even if I don't enjoy them, at least I'll have an answer as to why people like them. Hopefully. The first one is Assistant to the Villain, which the premise sounds like something I've read before, but the main character ends up working, I think, for a super villain. And it's supposed to be fantasy, but I think it's romantasy. I think it has been categorized as romantasy, but I always associated superheroes and supervillains with sci-fi. Anybody else? Either way, I'm assuming the romance is going to be there. I don't know if there's any spice in there. Maybe, but I've seen a lot. The pages were appealing when I was used book shopping, and I decided, you know what? It's there. I'm gonna try and see what it is about. And if it's not good, it's gonna go back to the library sale and someone else can get it for $1. So there's that. And then the last one. I know, you guys have warned me, but again, I want to know. Curious. Yeah, this is Captive Prince, which I had only seen this cover, which is why it was even on my radar. And I asked about it. I had a friend that ended up having the first book, and this cover was not what I expected. I have heard that this is technically, there's a romance in there, like a MLM romance, but I've heard that it starts like more enemies, like straight up enemies. And eventually it grows into something. And I've also been told that it's more like the world building that gets really interesting. And I know that it might not be love at first sight for me, or at first page for me, but I understand. I did end up reading, what was the name of that series? The Selection series. I read the whole trilogy in a weekend. I like to joke around that I had the flu and it just happened so quickly. Like these kind of books that you can't put down, they're not even good, but you just can't stop. That was my experience with this, and I've heard that this is similar, but that I need to be aware that it starts. So, well, I mean, you made me read freaking Ice Planet Barbarians, okay? And I read the first book, and sure, the first half I was kind of traumatized, but then I giggled for the second half. So, like, I'm prepared, okay? This is not my first time. We'll see. We'll see. Will I judge you if you love this and I hate it? Not really. Not really. I was going to joke, but it's fine. It's fine. So that's also an option depending on how the first two go. You know, if I hate this one and I put it down instantly, I'll give this one a shot. And my library does have the ebooks for Book 2 and 3, so I could binge read the whole thing. You never know. That's going to be a wild week for sure. Now, the rest of my options are more reasonable. I have been really enjoying Elif Shafak as an author, and The Bastard of Istanbul was another one that I found at a used bookstore, and I decided, you know what, I've enjoyed 2 of her books so far. Why not just continue? She tends to write literary fiction in general. There's always a hint of magical realism. I don't know if it's going to be the case with this one too, but in general, I really like her writing. She tends to write stories that get me emotionally invested. It's definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I feel like I haven't really been in the mood to read sci-fi, which is usually really my thing, and I've been focusing on fantasy more, which also my thing, but just discovering different genres, see what I'm in the mood for, see if I can find more favorites, and so far I've been lucky with her. She always tends to write about these characters that are really lost, and you're getting their background stories, and in this one it's an Armenian American that is living in San Francisco, and they feel lost, so they go back to Turkey. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited to try more by her, obviously. And then I wanted to include something that is a bit more challenging. I haven't read a lot of classics. I didn't put myself any goals this year for classics because I needed a little bit of a break. But see, sometimes that's how it works, right? You give yourself a break and then there's no more pressure, so you want to. So I shall be reading A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I've never read Dickens. Like, never. I have read a lot of French classics, and I feel like even on here I've been reading a lot more of the English classics or even American classics. but never Dickens. So this has to be one of the most popular books of all time, and I need to know what the hype is about. I do know that it's about the French Revolution, but that's literally it. It looks short, but don't trust this. The pages are so freaking thin. There's a lot of notes, so like I'm still in the notes. Okay, so there, I think that's it. So it's like technically only 400 pages, but the writing is tiny, tiny, tiny. So it's not too bad. I don't think this is a bad way to start. I've heard that it is one of his best, if not his best. So we're gonna try some Charles Dickens. I'm really nervous, but I'm really excited too. My library does have the audiobook, so I might flip-flop, we'll see, but I think it's going to be my first classic of the year, so that's good. And just in case, okay, again, I have a lot of big, intimidating books. I decided to include this book that I started but didn't finish, so part of what I love to call my pile of shame. This is The Lost Daughter by Elena Ferrante. I love the Neapolitan series by her, and I had bought more of her books hoping that it wasn't just like one hit for me, and yeah, I put it down halfway through, life happened, and I just have yet to continue. So I was at page 74, so I have like 70 more pages to read. There's really like no excuses. So it's just that she is almost a little too good at writing the raw, not necessarily nice parts of human nature. And this one, you're following this woman who is at the beach on vacation for the first time on her own, and she gets a little too interested in this other family dynamic and kind of gets involved a little bit. So I'm keeping it vague because it's so short, but it's already intense, okay? I'm judging her. So yeah, it would be nice to actually not be in the middle of this book for the next 5 years, if possible. And as always, audiobooks from the library, I always like to listen to some. I have a few options. I just haven't been really in the mood to try that many audiobooks. If you have any recommendations, let me know. So I've been kind of listening to mostly nonfiction, not only, but a lot of them. It's probably because a lot of the ones that are currently available that are not nonfiction are really big, like The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. It's 19 hours, and for some reason, I have yet to feel the need to finish this series. It's the last book. It is one of my goals this year to finish series, so I should, and I might, but 19 hours is scary, so I don't know. I do have Living Disability, which could be nice nonfiction. There's When the Body Says No, which a lot of people recommended this author to me, again, nonfiction. A few of them are ebooks, which I suck at remember they exist unless they're like advanced reader copies of a book that I wanted to read before it's out. That's mostly it. The other ones are like saying 12 weeks, which they might appear tomorrow as available, but they might not. So I'll have to keep you updated in terms of audiobooks, but that's my TBR. I feel like we have some really strong contenders. Again, I am dying to finish this damn book. I am in the middle of the other vlog, and it's really annoying because I want to finish that vlog so I can continue. I'm gonna try to, I'm sure I'm gonna have time to read a bit more before the end of the month, but I will not have time to finish it. So that's the one I'm the most excited about for sure. But I feel like I'm really hopeful about these two. So what do you think? Is there anything on there that you've read that you think I should really, really prioritize? Oh, actually, I'm really excited about the arcs and the new release. That vlog. As soon as I can, I will be, well, it's probably gonna have to be the last vlog of the month because the prequel is coming out on the 18th, so I need time to actually receive it and read it, so whatever. But after that vlog, these are probably the two I'm the most excited about, most hopeful that I will love. These are my plans for March. I hope you're excited. I have some really fun videos also coming out soon. Would love to hear the books that you are planning on reading because I could always use more books to add to my TBR, and I will be putting more videos actually on the screen that I recommend you check out, including the video where I was mentioning I read more advanced reader copies during the month of February. I ended up reading 3 books in that vlog, and I had a really good time. And I also did one video about my most read authors, which aren't always necessarily my favorite authors, but that was really fun to talk about too. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.